The galaxy had always thought of Earth as a small, unimportant planet. It was like a tiny dot in the vastness of space, with people who were still learning how to live together peacefully. The aliens out there believed humans were too simple and too divided to ever matter much in the grand scheme of things. But all of that changed one chilly November morning, when Jason Miller, an ordinary man from Iowa, became the center of something no one could have predicted. Jason lived on a quiet farm surrounded by fields of corn that stretched far into the horizon. He wasn't famous or rich. He didn't hold any power or influence over others. All he cared about was taking care of his crops, fixing his tractor when it broke down, and spending time with his family. Life for Jason was simple, predictable even. That's why what happened next seemed so strange, like a bolt of lightning, striking somewhere it shouldn't. It started just after sunrise. Jason had been outside checking the soil near the edge of his property. The air smelled fresh, and the sky above him was clear blue. Suddenly, without warning, the atmosphere around him began to shimmer. At first, Jason thought maybe heat waves were playing tricks on his eyes, but then the shimmer grew brighter and more intense. Before he could step back or call out, a glowing portal appeared right above him. From within this swirling light emerged three figures, tall, sleek, and otherworldly. These beings introduced themselves as envoys of the Virak, a race known across the stars for their cold logic and disdain for weaker species. They wore metallic suits that gleamed under the sunlight, and their voices sounded robotic yet commanding. Without wasting time on pleasantries, they explained their purpose. Humanity, they said, posed a potential threat to galactic stability. According to them, humans were unpredictable, violent, and prone to chaos. And so, to prevent future problems, they needed to act decisively. Then came the words that froze Jason where he stood. "You," one of the Virak declared, pointing directly at him, "are the embodiment of this threat." Before Jason could respond, or even fully understand what was happening, they raised their hands and a blinding flash consumed him. In an instant, Jason Miller was gone, reduced to nothing more than ash scattered by the wind. Back at his farmhouse, Jason's wife, Laura, heard nothing unusual until later that day. She had been baking bread in the kitchen when she noticed her husband hadn't come inside for breakfast. Worried, she went looking for him. What she found instead was a scene straight out of a nightmare. His hat lay abandoned in the dirt, and the ground nearby bore scorch marks. There was no sign of Jason himself. Laura called the local sheriff, whose deputies arrived quickly but were equally baffled. None of them had seen anything like this before. While they tried to figure out what might have happened, word spread through the small town. Neighbors gathered at the edge of Jason's field, whispering nervously about what they'd heard. Some speculated it was an accident involving machinery, while others suggested something stranger. A government experiment gone wrong, perhaps. No one guessed the truth. But the truth wasn't hidden for long. By evening, news outlets across the country picked up reports of the mysterious disappearance. Footage captured by drones flying overhead showed the moment the portal opened and the Virak stepped through. Social media exploded with theories and outrage. People everywhere wanted answers, and they wanted justice. Rachel Dawson, a young journalist, working for a Chicago-based news network, saw the story unfold online. Rachel had always been drawn to human interest stories, the kind that highlighted courage, resilience, and hope. When she read about Jason and watched the video clips circulating online, she knew this was bigger than anything she'd covered before. Grabbing her camera and notebook, she headed straight for Iowa. When Rachel arrived in Jason's hometown, she found a community in shock. Laura sat on her porch, staring blankly into the distance, clutching a photograph of her husband. Friends and neighbors brought food and offered support, but nothing could ease the pain of losing someone so suddenly and inexplicably. Rachel approached gently, introducing herself and asking if Laura would be willing to share her story. Though hesitant at first, Laura eventually agreed. As Rachel filmed Laura talking about Jason, their life together, his kindness, his love for farming, she realized this tragedy wasn't just personal, it was symbolic. Jason represented every ordinary person caught in extraordinary circumstances. His death wasn't just a loss for his family, it was a blow to humanity itself. Rachel posted her interview online that night, and the response was overwhelming. Millions of people watched, many leaving comments expressing sympathy and anger. Others shared their own stories of loss or frustration, connecting Jason's fate to broader struggles facing society. Hashtags like RE Justice for Jason and RE Stand with Earth began trending worldwide. Meanwhile, governments scrambled to respond. Officials held press conferences promising investigations, though few had concrete answers. Military leaders debated whether to retaliate against the Virak, while diplomats urged caution. Ordinary citizens, however, weren't waiting for instructions. Protests erupted in cities around the globe. Crowds carried signs reading, "Never again," and "We are human." Students skipped school to join marches. Workers walked off their jobs, and artists painted murals honoring Jason's memory. What surprised everyone, even those organizing the protests, was how quickly divisions faded away. For years, nations had argued over borders, resources, and ideologies. Now, united by grief and anger, they set aside old grievances. Flags waved side by side during rallies, and chants echoed in dozens of languages. Even rival political groups joined forces, recognizing that survival depended on cooperation. At the heart of this movement was Daniel Carter, a retired astronaut turned activist. Daniel had spent decades exploring space, dreaming of a day when humans would reach the stars. But now, standing on Earth, he saw a different kind of mission ahead. He called for the creation of the Global Accord, a coalition dedicated to defending humanity against further aggression. His speeches inspired millions, and soon, leaders from every continent pledged their support. Factories once used to produce weapons shifted focus to building satellites and defense systems. Scientists collaborated on projects previously deemed impossible, sharing knowledge freely for the first time. Volunteers trained to protect their communities, while tech companies donated software and resources. Earth transformed almost overnight, driven by a shared sense of purpose. All the while, Rachel continued documenting the changes. Her videos captured moments both heartbreaking and hopeful. A child drawing pictures of spaceships labeled peace, a farmer donating food to protesters, a group of engineers working late into the night to design new technologies. Each clip told a piece of the larger story, how humanity, faced with unimaginable loss, chose to rise rather than fall. Unbeknownst to everyone on Earth, their actions sent ripples throughout the galaxy. The Virak, watching from afar, couldn't comprehend what they were seeing. Their empire thrived on exploiting fear and division among lesser species. This sudden unity baffled them. For the first time, doubt crept into their calculations. Had eliminating Jason Miller been a mistake? The days following Jason Miller's death were unlike anything Earth had ever experienced. The shock of losing an ordinary man to alien forces transformed into something far greater, a collective determination to stand together. People across the globe began waking up to a new reality. They realized that if aliens could come to their planet and take someone like Jason, no one was truly safe. But instead of letting fear paralyze them, humanity chose to fight back, not with violence, but with unity. In the small town where Jason had lived, his wife Laura became a symbol of resilience. She continued speaking to journalists like Rachel Dawson, sharing her grief and urging others not to give in to despair. Jason wasn't special because he was powerful or rich, she said during one interview. He was special because he cared about people, and now it's our turn to care, for each other, for our planet, and for the future. Her words resonated deeply, inspiring countless individuals to take action. Rachel herself played a crucial role in spreading this message. She traveled from city to city, filming protests, documenting volunteer efforts, and interviewing experts who explained what humanity needed to do next. Her reports weren't just news, they were stories of hope. One day, she visited a factory in Detroit that had once produced cars, but was now building drones designed to protect Earth's skies. Another day, she met farmers in Nebraska, donating crops to feed protesters gathering in Washington, D.C. Everywhere she went, She saw examples of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. At the same time, governments around the world started working together in ways they never had before. Leaders who had spent years arguing over trade agreements and border disputes suddenly found common ground. In Geneva, Switzerland, representatives from nearly every nation gathered for an emergency summit. The room buzzed with energy as delegates discussed how to defend Earth against further attacks. It wasn't easy. Old rivalries still lingered. But the urgency of the situation forced everyone to cooperate. One person leading these efforts was Daniel Carter, the retired astronaut turned activist. Daniel had seen Earth from space, floating above its blue oceans and green continents, and he knew how fragile it looked from afar. Now, standing on solid ground, he felt a responsibility to protect it. He proposed the creation of the Global Accord, a coalition dedicated to uniting humanity under one banner. His vision wasn't just about defense, it was about proving to the galaxy, and to themselves, that humans were capable of greatness. The Global Accord quickly gained momentum. Countries pooled their resources, combining technology and expertise to prepare for whatever might come next. Factories repurposed assembly lines to build satellites and advanced weaponry. Universities collaborated on research projects aimed at improving communication systems and developing new forms of energy. Even private companies joined in, offering funding and materials without expecting anything in return. But perhaps the most remarkable change happened among ordinary citizens. Across neighborhoods and cities, people came together in ways both big and small. In Los Angeles, a group of teenagers organized a charity concert to raise money for defense efforts. In Mumbai, volunteers taught coding classes so more people could contribute to technological advancements. In Tokyo, artists painted murals depicting Earth surrounded by stars, reminding everyone of their place in the universe. Rachel captured all of this on camera, weaving the stories into a narrative that inspired millions. One of her most memorable interviews was with a young girl named Emily Torres. Emily lived in Houston, Texas, and dreamed of becoming a pilot. When Rachel asked her why she wanted to fly, Emily replied simply, "Because I want to help keep us safe." Her answer touched hearts around the world, and soon images of Emily holding a toy airplane appeared on posters and social media profiles everywhere. As Earth prepared itself, the Virak watched with growing unease. From their gleaming ships orbiting distant stars, they observed the changes happening below. At first, they dismissed the protests and speeches as meaningless gestures. After all, humanity had always been divided. How could they possibly unite overnight? But as weeks turned into months, the evidence became impossible to ignore. Earth was transforming before their eyes. The Virak Council convened to discuss the situation. Some members argued that Earth's newfound unity made it even more dangerous. Others believed it was merely a temporary reaction to Jason's death and would fade over time. One envoy, however, voiced a concern that troubled them all. "We underestimated them," he admitted. "By eliminating one human, we gave them a reason to stand together. What if this is only the beginning?" Despite their doubts, the Virak decided to wait and see. They assumed Earth's preparations wouldn't amount to much. Their own technology was centuries ahead of anything humans possessed, and they saw no reason to believe that would change anytime soon. Still, they couldn't shake the feeling that something significant was brewing. Back on Earth, the Global Accord launched its most ambitious project yet, the Beacon Initiative. This effort involved constructing a massive network of satellites, designed to send a message to the stars. The goal wasn't to threaten or intimidate, it was to show the galaxy who humanity really was. Daniel Carter explained the idea in a televised address. "We're not perfect. We've made mistakes and we'll make more. But we're also capable of love, creativity, and courage. If the Virak think they can erase us, they're wrong." The message included music composed by children, photographs of diverse cultures, celebrating life, and recordings of survivors recounting how they overcame hardship. Rachel's videos played a central role, capturing raw emotion and hope. There were clips of Laura talking about Jason, of Emily practicing flight simulations, and of workers assembling drones late into the night. Together, these pieces formed a portrait of a species determined to survive and thrive. When the transmission finally reached the Virak homeworld, it caused chaos within their council chambers. For beings accustomed to domination and control, the idea of unity based on compassion and cooperation seemed alien. Some viewed the message as a declaration of war, while others saw it as proof that humanity was more complex than they'd assumed. Debates raged until news arrived from another corner of the galaxy. Other civilizations, inspired by Earth's response, began questioning the Virak's dominance. Species once subjugated under Virak rule started revolting, citing Earth's example as evidence that unity could overcome oppression. On planets light years away, banners bearing Earth's symbol appeared in streets and squares. The ripple effect stunned the entire galaxy. For the first time in millennia, the Virak faced opposition not just from one planet, but from dozens. Their empire, built on fear and division, began to crack. As rebellion spread, the Virak realized they had made a grave mistake. By targeting Jason Miller, they hadn't weakened humanity. They had ignited a fire that refused to be extinguished. On Earth, life continued to evolve. People worked tirelessly, driven by a shared sense of purpose. Families gathered around televisions to watch updates on the Beacon Initiative. Schools held assemblies to teach students about teamwork and resilience. Even those too young to fully understand the stakes felt the shift in the air. Something monumental was happening, and everyone wanted to be part of it. Rachel reflected on this transformation as she edited her latest report. Sitting in her hotel room, surrounded by footage of protests, speeches, and acts of kindness, she felt a deep sense of pride. Humanity wasn't perfect, but it was trying. And sometimes, that was enough. Little did anyone know, the real test was yet to come. The Virak, desperate to regain control, were planning a move that would challenge Earth's newfound strength. But for now, humanity stood united, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The galaxy was changing, and Earth was at the center of it all. The message sent through the Beacon Initiative had traveled across light years, reaching not just the Virak, but countless other civilizations. It wasn't a call to arms or a threat. It was an invitation to understand humanity. For the first time, aliens who had dismissed Earth as primitive and chaotic saw something different. They saw creativity, resilience, and the power of unity. And while some species admired this, others, especially the Virak, felt threatened. Back on Earth, life continued to evolve in ways no one could have predicted. People woke up each day with a sense of purpose, knowing they were part of something bigger than themselves. Factories hummed with activity as workers built satellites, drones, and advanced defense systems. Scientists collaborated around the clock, sharing ideas and solving problems that once seemed impossible. Even children joined in, drawing pictures of spaceships and writing letters to imaginary alien friends about peace. At the heart of these efforts was Daniel Carter, the retired astronaut turned activist. He had become a symbol of hope for millions, traveling from city to city to rally support for the global accord. His speeches were simple yet powerful. "We're not fighting to prove we're better than anyone else," he often said. "We're fighting to show that we're worth saving." These words resonated deeply, inspiring people to keep going even when the work felt overwhelming. Rachel Dawson, the journalist documenting humanity's transformation, found herself busier than ever. She followed Daniel on his tours, capturing footage of cheering crowds and quiet moments of reflection. She interviewed scientists explaining their latest breakthroughs and volunteers working tirelessly to prepare for whatever might come next. But Rachel's favorite stories came from ordinary people, like Emily Torres, the young girl from Houston who dreamed of becoming a pilot. Emily had thrown herself into her studies, spending hours practicing flight simulations and learning everything she could about space travel. Her teachers noticed how determined she was and encouraged her to pursue her dream. One day, Rachel visited Emily's school to film her giving a presentation to her classmates. Standing in front of a poster covered in drawings of Earth surrounded by stars, Emily spoke confidently. "If aliens think we're weak, they're wrong," she said. "We're strong because we stand together." Rachel included clips of Emily's speech in her next report, and the response was overwhelming. People everywhere shared images of their own children holding toy airplanes or drawing pictures of rockets. Emily became a symbol of hope, proof that even the youngest members of society could contribute to the cause. Meanwhile, the Virak grew increasingly frustrated. Their empire, built on fear and control, was beginning to crumble. On distant planets, oppressed species rose up against them, inspired by Earth's example. Banners bearing Earth's symbol appeared in streets and squares, and chants of unity echoed through alien cities. The Virak Council convened repeatedly, debating how to respond. Some argued for immediate retaliation against Earth, believing that crushing the source of the rebellion would restore order. Others urged caution, warning that attacking now might only strengthen humanity's resolve. In the end, desperation won out. The Virak decided to launch a full-scale invasion of Earth, hoping to end the uprising once and for all. They assembled a massive fleet of ships equipped with weapons far beyond anything humans possessed. Their plan was simple: overwhelm Earth's defenses, destroy its infrastructure, and crush any resistance before it could grow further. But Earth was ready, or at least as ready as it could be. Thanks to months of preparation, the Global Accord had developed innovative strategies to defend the planet. Drones designed to disable enemy ships patrolled the skies, while cyber attacks disrupted communication networks. Ground forces trained tirelessly, preparing for the worst-case scenario. Everyone knew the odds were against them, but they refused to give up without a fight. As the Virak fleet approached Earth, tension reached a breaking point. News outlets broadcast live updates, showing images of glowing ships descending through the atmosphere. Families gathered around televisions, holding hands and praying for safety. In command centers around the world, leaders monitored the situation closely, making split-second decisions that could mean the difference between victory and defeat. Rachel Dawson accompanied Daniel Carter aboard the flagship coordinating Earth's defense efforts. She carried her camera everywhere, determined to document every moment of the battle. As explosions lit up the sky, she filmed soldiers working together, pilots taking off in sleek fighter jets and engineers monitoring systems for signs of failure. Despite the chaos, there was a sense of calm determination. Everyone knew what was at stake. The climactic moment came when a young pilot named Emily Torres volunteered for a dangerous mission. The Virak command ship loomed overhead, directing the attack and disabling Earth's defenses. Without it, the invaders would lose their advantage. Emily's task was clear: disable the command ship at any cost. Flying her small but agile craft toward the massive vessel, she dodged laser fire and evaded enemy fighters. Her heart raced, but her focus never wavered. Finally, she reached her target. With a deep breath, Emily activated the self-destruct sequence on her ship and rammed it into the command vessel. A blinding explosion engulfed both ships, sending shockwaves rippling through the air. Back on Earth, people watched in stunned silence as the Virak fleet faltered, unable to coordinate their attack. Slowly but surely, Earth's forces gained the upper hand. The remaining Virak ships retreated, disappearing into the void of space. Cheers erupted across the planet as news of the victory spread. People hugged strangers in the streets, tears streaming down their faces. For the first time in months, they allowed themselves to feel relief and pride. Daniel Carter addressed the world later that evening, standing on a stage surrounded by flags representing every nation. "Today we proved that humanity is stronger than anyone thought possible," he said. "We showed the galaxy that we will not back down, no matter the odds. And we reminded ourselves what truly matters: standing together, protecting each other, and never giving up." Rachel captured the speech on camera, along with footage of celebrations happening around the globe. Fireworks lit up the night sky and music filled the air. Children danced in the streets waving homemade banners. It was a moment of pure joy, a reminder of what humanity could achieve when united. But the victory wasn't just for Earth. Across the galaxy, other civilizations watched in awe. The Virak's retreat sent a powerful message. Even the most dominant forces could be challenged. Inspired by Earth's courage, more species joined the rebellion, vowing to overthrow their oppressors. The ripple effect continued to grow, reshaping the galaxy in ways no one could have imagined. For Rachel, the experience was unforgettable. As she edited her final report, she reflected on everything she'd witnessed. From Jason Miller's tragic death to the triumph of Earth's defenders, she had seen humanity at its best and worst. And through it all, one thing remained clear. When faced with adversity, people were capable of incredible things. Little did anyone know the battle was far from over. The Virak wouldn't give up easily, and their empire still posed a threat. But for now, humanity celebrated its hard-fought victory, knowing it had taken a crucial step toward securing its place among the stars. The victory over the Virak fleet was a turning point for Earth, but it wasn't the end of the story. The galaxy still buzzed with uncertainty, and humanity knew their fight was far from over. The Virak had retreated, licking their wounds, but everyone understood they wouldn't stay away forever. For now, though, Earth celebrated its hard-won triumph, basking in the glow of unity and resilience. In the days following the battle, people around the world came together to honor those who had sacrificed everything. Emily Torres became a symbol of bravery, her name spoken with reverence. Though she had lost her life in the attack on the Virak command ship, her actions ensured Earth's survival. Schools across the globe held moments of silence in her memory, and murals of her smiling face appeared on walls in cities and towns. Her dream of becoming a pilot had come true, even if only for a short time. Rachel Dawson documented these tributes, capturing the emotions of families who visited memorials and children who left flowers at makeshift shrines. She also filmed interviews with survivors of the battle, including soldiers, engineers, and volunteers who had worked tirelessly behind the scenes. Each story added another layer to the narrative of humanity's strength and determination. Rachel felt a deep sense of pride knowing that her work was helping the world remember what had been achieved and what still needed to be done. Meanwhile, Daniel Carter continued leading the global accord, pushing for even greater cooperation among nations. He reminded everyone that while they had won this round, the Virak were not defeated. "We've shown them we're strong," he said during a press conference. "But strength alone isn't enough. We need to keep building, keep learning, and keep standing together. This is just the beginning." Under his guidance, Earth's leaders launched new initiatives aimed at preparing for future threats. Factories ramped up production of advanced technology, and scientists explored ways to harness energy sources never before imagined. Universities opened programs dedicated to studying alien cultures, hoping to better understand potential allies and enemies in the galaxy. Even ordinary citizens joined in, volunteering their time and skills to support the cause. As Earth worked to strengthen itself, news arrived from other parts of the galaxy. The rebellion against the Virak had grown stronger than anyone expected. Species once oppressed under Virak rule began forming alliances. Inspired by Earth's example, ambassadors from distant planets reached out, seeking advice and offering assistance. Some even sent ships to patrol near Earth's borders, pledging to defend humanity if the Virak returned. These developments stunned the Virak Council. Their empire, once unshakable, was crumbling faster than they could respond. Debates turned into arguments as members struggled to agree on a plan. Some argued for immediate retaliation, believing that crushing Earth would restore their dominance. Others warned that attacking again might only fuel further rebellion. Tensions within the council reached a breaking point. Back on Earth, Rachel traveled to Geneva to cover an unprecedented event, the first intergalactic summit. Representatives from dozens of species gathered in a massive conference hall, eager to meet the humans who had sparked such widespread change. Delegates wore clothing, or equivalent attire, that reflected their diverse cultures, creating a vibrant tapestry of colors and designs. Languages filled the air, translated instantly through advanced devices provided by the Global Accord. Daniel Carter addressed the assembly, speaking slowly and clearly so translators could keep up. "We didn't ask for this fight," he began, "but when it came to our doorstep, we chose to stand together. That's what makes us human, not our weaknesses, but our ability to overcome them." His words earned applause from the crowd, many of whom nodded in agreement. One delegate, a tall, glowing being named Kale, stepped forward to speak. "Your courage has inspired us," Kale said, his voice resonating like music. "For too long, we have lived in fear of the Virak, but seeing how you fought, not just with weapons but with hope, has shown us there is another way." Other delegates echoed his sentiment, vowing to support Earth in its ongoing struggle. The summit marked a historic moment. Earth was no longer seen as a backwater planet but as a leader among civilizations. For the first time, humanity took its place on the galactic stage, earning respect and admiration from beings light years away. Rachel filmed every moment, knowing this footage would be watched for generations to come. Despite these victories, challenges remained. The Virak still controlled vast regions of the galaxy, and their leaders refused to admit defeat. Spies reported that they were developing new weapons, determined to reclaim their dominance. Earth's leaders knew they couldn't let their guard down, no matter how much progress they made. To prepare for whatever might come next, the Global Accord launched Project Horizon, an ambitious effort to build a network of early warning systems and defensive satellites. Engineers worked around the clock, designing technology capable of detecting enemy ships before they reached Earth. Scientists studied data collected during the battle, searching for weaknesses in Virak defenses. Volunteers trained civilians in emergency response protocols, ensuring everyone knew what to do if war came again. Even as they prepared for conflict, humanity focused on peace. Artists created sculptures and paintings celebrating unity, while musicians composed songs about hope and resilience. Schools taught lessons about cooperation, emphasizing the importance of working together to solve problems. People everywhere embraced the idea that their strength lay not in individual achievements but in collective effort. Laura Miller, Jason's widow, played a key role in spreading this message. She traveled the world, sharing her husband's story and reminding audiences why unity mattered. "Jason wasn't special because he was extraordinary," she often said. "He was special because he cared about others. And now we all have a chance to carry that spirit forward." Her words brought tears to many eyes, inspiring people to continue striving for a better future. Months passed and Earth grew stronger with each passing day. The threat of the Virak still loomed, but humanity faced it with confidence. They had proven they could stand together, even in the face of overwhelming odds, and they had shown the galaxy that love, compassion, and determination could overcome fear and division. Rachel Dawson wrapped up her final report one evening, sitting in her apartment surrounded by footage and notes. She thought about everything she had witnessed, from Jason's tragic death to Emily's heroic sacrifice, from protests in the streets to speeches in the halls of power. It had been a journey unlike anything she could have imagined, and she felt honored to have played a part in documenting it. Her last video ended with a simple yet powerful message. They eliminated one human, thinking it would weaken us. Instead, it made us stronger than anyone, including ourselves, ever imagined. As she uploaded the file, Rachel smiled, knowing her work would inspire countless others. And so, Earth stood ready, prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The galaxy watched with anticipation, curious to see what this resilient species would do next. Humanity had taken its first steps onto the galactic stage, forever changing the course of history. The galaxy had changed, and Earth was no longer just a small, overlooked planet. It had become a beacon of hope for countless species, a symbol of what could be achieved when people, or beings, stood together. But the road ahead was still uncertain. The Virak had retreated, but their empire wasn't gone. They were regrouping, rebuilding, and plotting their next move. Humanity knew they couldn't afford to relax, even for a moment. Back on Earth, life continued to evolve in unexpected ways. The unity that had formed during the crisis didn't fade. Instead, it grew stronger. People woke up each day with a sense of purpose, knowing they were part of something bigger than themselves. Factories hummed with activity as workers built new satellites, drones, and advanced defense systems. Scientists collaborated across borders, sharing ideas and solving problems faster than ever before. Even children joined in, drawing pictures of spaceships and writing letters to imaginary alien friends about peace. At the heart of these efforts was Daniel Carter, the retired astronaut turned activist. He had become a guiding light for millions, traveling from city to city to inspire people to keep moving forward. His speeches were simple but powerful. "We've shown the galaxy that we're not afraid," he often said. "But bravery isn't enough. We need to keep learning, keep growing, and keep standing together." These words resonated deeply, motivating people to push through exhaustion and fear. Rachel Dawson, the journalist who had documented humanity's transformation, found herself busier than ever. She followed Daniel on his tours, capturing footage of cheering crowds and quiet moments of reflection. She interviewed scientists explaining their latest breakthroughs and volunteers working tirelessly to prepare for whatever might come next. But Rachel's favorite stories came from ordinary people, like Laura Miller, Jason's widow, who had become a voice for resilience and hope. Laura traveled the world, speaking to audiences large and small. She shared her grief openly, reminding everyone of the cost of the fight against the Virac. "Jason wasn't special because he was extraordinary," she often said. "He was special because he cared about others. And now we all have a chance to carry that spirit forward." Her words brought tears to many eyes, inspiring people to continue striving for a better future. Meanwhile, the Global Accord launched new initiatives aimed at strengthening Earth's position in the galaxy. Engineers worked around the clock designing technology capable of detecting enemy ships before they reached Earth. Scientists studied data collected during the battle, searching for weaknesses in Virac defenses. Volunteers trained civilians in emergency response protocols, ensuring everyone knew what to do if war came again. Even as they prepared for conflict, humanity focused on peace. Artists created sculptures and paintings celebrating unity, while musicians composed songs about hope and resilience. Schools taught lessons about cooperation, emphasizing the importance of working together to solve problems. People everywhere embraced the idea that their strength lay not in individual achievements but in collective effort. In space, Earth's influence continued to grow. Ambassadors from other civilizations visited regularly, eager to learn from humanity's example. Some species sent aid, ships, resources, and knowledge to help Earth defend itself. Others offered cultural exchanges, sharing art, music, and traditions that enriched human understanding of the galaxy. For the first time, Earth felt like part of a larger community, connected by shared values and goals. But the Virac weren't idle. Reports began trickling in from spies embedded in their territories. The Virac Council had declared Earth its greatest threat and vowed to eliminate it once and for all. They poured resources into developing new weapons, determined to reclaim their dominance. Their leaders spoke of vengeance, calling Earth's resistance an insult to their power. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Back on Earth, preparations intensified. The Global Accord unveiled Project Horizon, an ambitious initiative to build a network of early warning systems and defensive satellites. Engineers worked tirelessly, designing technology capable of detecting enemy ships before they reached Earth. Scientists studied data collected during the battle, searching for weaknesses in Virac defenses. Volunteers trained civilians in emergency response protocols, ensuring everyone knew what to do if war came again. One evening, Rachel Dawson accompanied Daniel Carter to a secret meeting at a military base. Inside a dimly lit room, top leaders from around the world gathered to discuss Earth strategy. Maps of the solar system covered the walls, marked with potential invasion routes and defensive positions. A holographic display showed simulations of possible battles, highlighting areas where Earth's forces might struggle. As the meeting progressed, Rachel noticed something remarkable. Despite the high stakes, there was no arguing or bickering among the leaders. Everyone listened carefully, offering suggestions and solutions without ego or pride. It was a stark contrast to how things had been before Jason's death. Unity wasn't just a slogan anymore. It was a way of life. After the meeting, Rachel asked Daniel for his thoughts. "Do you think we can win?" she asked quietly. Daniel smiled, though his eyes remained serious. "Winning isn't about destroying the Virak," he replied. "It's about proving that we're worth saving. If we can show the galaxy that we're strong, compassionate, and united, then we've already won." Rachel nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. She knew her role was important, not just as a journalist, but as a storyteller. Her reports weren't just news, they were reminders of why humanity mattered. They inspired people to keep going, even when the odds seemed impossible. Weeks turned into months, and Earth grew stronger with each passing day. The threat of the Virak still loomed, but humanity faced it with confidence. They had proven they could stand together, even in the face of overwhelming odds, and they had shown the galaxy that love, compassion, and determination could overcome fear and division. Then, one fateful morning, alarms blared across the planet. The Virak fleet had returned, larger and more menacing than ever before. Ships descended through the atmosphere, their engines roaring like thunder. Panic spread quickly, but it didn't last long. Thanks to Project Horizon, Earth's forces were ready. Drones took to the skies, disabling enemy ships before they could cause damage. Ground forces coordinated seamlessly, using strategies developed during months of training. Rachel filmed the battle from a secure location, her camera capturing every explosion, every act of bravery. Soldiers worked together, pilots flew with precision, and engineers monitored systems for signs of failure. Despite the chaos, there was a sense of calm determination. Everyone knew what was at stake. The turning point came when a young engineer named Marcus Riley activated a prototype weapon designed to disrupt Virak technology. The device emitted a pulse that disabled dozens of ships, leaving them vulnerable to attack. Earth's forces seized the opportunity, launching a counter-offensive that pushed the Virak back into space. Cheers erupted around the globe as news of the victory spread. For the second time, the Virak retreated, their empire crumbling under the weight of rebellion and resistance. Across the galaxy, oppressed species rose up, inspired by Earth's courage. The ripple effect continued to grow, reshaping the galaxy in ways no one could have imagined. As the dust settled, Earth celebrated once again. Fireworks lit up the night. Sky and music filled the air. Children danced in the streets, waving homemade banners. It was a moment of pure joy, a reminder of what humanity could achieve when united. Rachel wrapped up her final report that evening, sitting in her apartment, surrounded by footage and notes. She thought about everything she had witnessed, from Jason's tragic death to Emily's heroic sacrifice, from protests in the streets to speeches in the halls of power. It had been a journey unlike anything she could have imagined, and she felt honored to have played a part in documenting it. Her last video ended with a simple yet powerful message. They eliminated one human, thinking it would weaken us. Instead, it made us stronger than anyone, including ourselves, ever imagined. As she uploaded the file, Rachel smiled, knowing her work would inspire countless others. And so, Earth stood ready, prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The galaxy watched with anticipation, curious to see what this resilient species would do next. Humanity had taken its first steps onto the galactic stage, forever changing the course of history.